Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Lizzie, and for today's video we are watching The Vanishing. This is the original version. It is a French film, and it is from 1988. Now I do know that there has been at least one remake of this, an American version that I believe came out in like the 90s, so not like far after, which I mean happens, but yes, this is the original French version of it. This is another one that I'm going into not really knowing what it is about, so yeah, I'm excited to find out what it's about and be right back with my thoughts.
Parce que mine de rien, c'est devenu une passion. Tu as quelque chose dans la tête.
Okay, so just finished with watching The Vanishing, and this is a very different one, guys, and I really like this film. It is so good. So like I said, it is a French film. I was able to, luckily enough, find it to just watch it on YouTube with a pretty decent quality. So I will leave a link to that in the description because I definitely think it is worth checking out. It did have captions, luckily enough. So to get into what this film is about is you start out following this couple, this gentleman Rex and his wife, whose name I can't really pronounce, but they're on a road trip when their car breaks down going through a tunnel. They basically run out of gas and they end up in a bit of a fight. He kind of takes off to go because he wants to get out of the tunnel before they potentially get hit. She is trying to look for a flashlight, and he basically abandons her, which is horrible, but right away there's this tension. You're kind of waiting to see if something happens, and eventually they do get reunited. He gets gas in like a tank thing and bring it in like a gas jug thing, and he brings that back to the car, and at first she's not in the car, so you're like, oh snap, like what's happening, but he drives through the tunnel. She's at the end of the tunnel just like holding the flashlight, and so they awkwardly reunite and go to a gas station where you immediately meet our kidnapper killer guy. And they don't even hold back with like informing you that he's a bad guy. Like, he's in his car and he's doing the serial killer thing of putting on like a fake brace, acting like he's injured, and so you immediately know something is up with this guy. But that's really all you see of him, is that he does that and then he goes and stands outside the gas station. And so then you are following this couple, and they make up and they're being cute and they're kind of taking their time to, like, you know, stretch their legs and just kind of relax and get themselves together before they head back on the road. And all you know is that at some point she vanishes. So you don't see what happens. You flash back and forth throughout the film between the man, the killer, and Rex, and eventually get to his wife disappearing and him trying to figure out where she went, and then you have flashes of this killer, and then you have the scenes of the killer preparing, which I really liked. You go through they take you through his whole process of deciding to do this, to start finding victims. He hasn't yet. He walks himself step by step of how he's going to convince people to get into his car, and just his whole routine. He also has a family, though. He has his own wife and 2 daughters, and they really walk you through his whole process of trying to hide everything from his family, and you really get several different perspectives throughout this film that blend very well together. They don't do what I feel like too often films when they're trying to give you different perspectives do, where they jump around too much, or they very heavily focus on like this one person's perspective, and then this one person's perspective, and then this one person's perspective. Like, they focus on the different perspectives, but they all blend together very well, and so much is taking place at the same time that you're getting different perspectives at the same time. I mean, you get, at one point in the film, it jumps forward 3 years, and the husband is still, he's still living in this area where his wife disappeared. He has basically started a life there. He's plastered up posters and continues to plaster up posters. He even goes on like a talk show to plead with the killer for information. And he has this other relationship that he has started. And you get her perspective as well, and how what he is going through affects her. She does mention that they've been together about 8 months, and she kind of is understanding of what he's going through, but she can't really take the fact that he hasn't been able to, I don't want to say get past it, because it's obviously something you don't really get past, but he's not able to move on with his life. And so that takes a toll on her, and you get like all these different perspectives of how it just affects everyone in these people's lives, including like the killer's family. Like, his wife and children think that he's having like an affair because of just his odd behavior, and he tells them all like, no, I'm not, I'm working on this project. And so yeah, it's very, very interesting, and I really, really enjoyed it. I don't want to get too much into too many spoilers. Our protagonist, I guess, of the husband of Rex, him and the killer do eventually meet, and that's very interesting as well. The whole thing is it's very unique, it's very different. I mean, I'm sure there are films that have copied or followed along these similar lines, but I just felt like this one did things so differently and so well, and I really, really enjoyed it. And it is a bit of a kind of slow burn. There's not a lot of, it's not a slasher film, there's not a lot of crazy, like, there's no real kill moments in the film, so if you're looking for things like that, this film does not have that, but it's still really good. And I mean, you're following these characters, so at one point, like I said, you're following the whole, like, the killer's process and finding out, like, what happened to this woman. And so you do eventually find out, and they do show you how the killer goes about taking her, and because you've been watching these characters so closely, and you've been watching this woman as well, when they get to that point, it's like heart-wrenching. And yeah, so like when you see that moment, it's just like there's so much build up, and you're just like, oh, this poor woman, and you feel for her, and you feel for Rex, and it's really, really good. And the ending is intense and also kind of like a little disappointing, but not like, it's a pretty satisfying end, which is weird. Like, I feel like you have to kind of see the film to get what I'm talking about. But I really, really like this film. I highly, highly suggest it if you have not seen this one. Like I said, I will try to remember to leave a link in the description so that you can check it out too, because I definitely think that you should. If you have seen this film, let me know what your thoughts are on it in the comments below. Also, if you've seen the remake, let me know. Let me know your thoughts on it. I kind of want to watch it, so maybe not too many spoilers if it's like completely different. But just let me know your thoughts if you have seen both of those or either of them. Let me know in the comments below. If you did enjoy this, please do give it a big old thumbs up and make sure you hit the subscribe button for more horror related content. And I will see you guys again tomorrow with another video. Bye.